All right, welcome to the AdVital demo. I'm just getting a little swig of my chai this morning. Here, it's Friday, and I'm working from home, which means that I'm working 4 days a week now. I've been able to do this because of our software, and I am Dr. Seetha Patel. I have a private practice in plastic surgery. Now, with this private practice, we are able to function full steam in 4 days a week instead of the five that we would have to be open previously. I don't take call anymore. Again, I'm in private practice. I also have a med spa, and I also have a partner, and I have multiple locations, and I have a surgery center. I've been able to do all this in 5 years since I finished residency and fellowship. Again, I did general surgery and I did plastic surgery. I'm board certified in both. And then I also did an extra year in craniofacial surgery for adult and pediatrics. But I suffered through every single problem with sales, marketing, and operations. And I decided that I would bottle it up into a software. And that's where we came up with AdVital. So, who is this for, right? It's for medical private practices and med spas. They have trouble finding qualified staff. You spend so much more time in terms of the EMRs, doing all this paperwork and all the other parts that you're not able to actually do the care in healthcare, right? It's also for people that are interested and committed to growing and scaling. Again, we have two locations, two providers. We have a surgery center and we have a med spa within 5 years. If you also have had trouble with your marketing agencies telling you, all the impressions and click-through rates, but they're not actually tying it to revenue, and you want to get better clarity on that, this is also for you. And ultimately, this is to help you organize your time to work smarter and not harder. What are we going to cover? We're going to cover the understanding the repetitive tasks and how to eliminate them in your practices. We're going to cover the best use of staff time and the optimal times to get conversions, because sometimes it's running in the right direction that gets you what you want versus running in all directions. And the transparency in marketing. And I'm going to explain to you why that's important, right? These are some of just the main concepts that we're going to cover. And again, it's just like we're going to have a little chat over some coffee or some chai. What does AdVital provide? Now, our software that we created is HIPAA compliant, it's patented, integrates with your EMR, and it centralizes all the communication. So when a staff member's out or someone is sick or someone's helping somebody else, you know exactly where they left off, what the next steps are, what you need to do is in terms of a practice to actually make an impact and give these patients the care that they want in this day and age. Everything has been transformed into the age of digital marketing, and people want to be able to text, do it on their phone, be able to book on their own times, after hours, and all this other stuff. But do we really want to work on the weekends? Do we really want to work after hours to nurture these folks into coming to their offices? Or can we put a software in place to do that for us? It replaces all these platforms. You know how I know it replaces all these platforms? Because I was trying to piecemeal all these things together before I created this software, right? And when I piecemeal it together, it was a mess. I couldn't see much clarity in it. I couldn't get all my team to follow all the instructions for each one of these different types of solutions or what piece of the puzzle they do. And that's why we came up with this. I couldn't find a solution out there, and therefore I was forced to create our own. And when we did, it changed our conversion rates, it changed our processes, and it changed our overall staff happiness and the provider happiness, and our patient rapport shot through the roof. These are the current EMR integrations that we have with AdVital right now in terms of NextText, Simplast, Advanced MD, Modernizing Medicine, Cario, 4D. We're also coming up with new integrations pretty much every month. I think Athena is on the horizon, Dr. Chrono, and anything with an open API is something that we can integrate with. We try to make it as flexible as possible. Now, this is our user interface. And this is what I mean, that we can follow the entire patient journey from start to finish to say, okay, well, what happened and what time and how long did it take for my staff to respond? Well, this is a back and forth from the office to the patient on a text thread that when this patient's at work. And so you can do emails, voicemails, texts, and this includes photos and videos and messenger and calls because we also integrate with social media. So this is the communication platform for the conversation portion. But what happens after this conversation? How do we organize that platform? Well, this is where all of these sectors in terms of our pipeline to actually go through the patient journey when a new lead comes in, and this is when they hit your website and then they fill out a form, or they go through social media and they fill out a form of coming in here. And then they get moved over to the contacted section when your front desk starts communicating with them. If they start ghosting you or they don't respond or anything like that, they automatically in 2 days will go over to the no response to end schedule. And again, these timelines are customizable and the messaging is customizable. So as this drag and drop makes it pretty straightforward in terms of the patient journey. And there's automations that start from these things. So that means that your SMS, emails, and videos that you want to nurture these people to become patients, those 8 to 12 touch points that have been proven by the digital agencies out there, that's able to be get done. You know how important that is? It changes your conversion rates and the retention of that money that you're spending on getting that lead, right? And so all these processes help add up to changes in your practice in terms of the actual people that come in. Now, not only do we help the front office, but we also help the back office after a patient is consulted. How do we nurture them? How do we follow them in terms of their subsequent follow ups or what they need to do in terms of either imaging labs or in terms of they get a quote in terms of cosmesis? So they get consulted, they get nurtured on that quote, and then they can turn into a procedure booked. And even after a procedure booked, you can have a post operative automation as well to follow up and check on them. Now, automations, it's been debated to say, oh, well, does it actually increase empathy or does it decrease empathy? All these computerized messages, they're using all these type of things to come across to me, but does it mean anything, right? Is it actually meaningful to the patient care? Well, when my front desk is sick, or when my staff is out or something like that, and they're getting overwhelmed with all these different forms of leads coming in, whether it's social media, phone calls, website, all these different avenues or emails, we're able to put it all in one place. So they're only able to look at one place and they don't get distracted and they don't have to have ADD and just be like, oh my God, I forgot this and this and this and that and then whatever. And you just lose track of these leads, right? Also, our staff's only working from 8 to 5. This thing's working after hours. We eliminate the use of spreadsheets. And then also when someone's sick, you know exactly where to pick up where they left off. And that is the key. For us in our practice, we're able to actually see how this changed in terms of our reviews. Our reviews, our patients started mentioning our staff members by name in the reviews. And that's how I know that they were able to spend more time, make an impact to be remembered in the patient care journey itself. And that is huge. Now, in terms of the numbers, efficiency and profitability. Now, these are the things that you kind of always want to know to say, all right, what's actually going on? Do I know my numbers? We found out less than 10% of even plastic surgeons know their numbers of who's responding, what time rate is happening, how often are we doing these things. With our software, we're able to take our average before we had our software to 2 hours down to within 1 minute. MIT data shows that I can have actual retention of a lead if I respond within 5 minutes. 80% get retention. It's an 80% retention rate within 5 minutes if you respond. Our booking rates doubled. Our staff hours decreased per staff member, decreased by 5 hours a week of them actually having to nurture because we put these automations in place and messaging and videos and educational facts that helped us convert these patients over. These conversions on the front end to booking rate for appointments led to an increase in conversion in our actual surgeries. Before we had AdVital, we had a 30% conversion rate from a quota patient to actually getting a surgery. That went up to 70 to 80% month over month to actually show that, hey, the nurturing process of educating people in the procedures they wanted to have was massive. Now, return on investment and a staff time recouped. Auto follow-up revenue and co-lead revenue. Now, these are the two main automations that we provide to you to say, Okay, this is going to help nurture these people along to get those 8 to 12 touch points, decrease the amount of time that it takes to respond to everyone, and then re-nurture these people in terms of the cold leads. These are leads that came in, they stopped responding to you, but then with the nurturing process, they warm back up and then they actually buy from your practice. On average, we're getting $73,535 per practice per month in terms of revenue from the automations. The launch revenues on average for a practice that signs up with AdVital is about $39,000. And the reviews that they're able to get is about 10 to 30. And this matters because the reviews help your organic game. It helps in terms of the SEO, the response time rates, and the keywords. So all these things build on top of advertising in your local market. The transparency in marketing. Now, this is the other piece of tying everything back together. Well, current marketing agencies, they tell you this top bar right here to say, hey, this is the total impressions, these are the total clicks, this is the click-through rate, average CP cost per click, and the total ad spend. It doesn't tell you anything about revenue, right? In terms of the analytics, it tells you, oh, how many people saw you directly, how many saw you in terms of paid ads, how many saw you in terms of social. But what does that mean? We are able to break it down into pure transparency for your advertising to the exact campaign that brought you that type of revenue. So if you add these things up and you're able to say, hey, revenue and ad spend, this is the total revenue, this is the total amount spent. You can see there's a gross profit of $240,000 from these ads. I know where to spend my money and where not to spend my money. Sometimes where not to spend my money is more important than where to spend my money. It tells you the average revenue per patient. And this all is broken down in our dashboard. So you have complete transparency in terms of the practice management portion of your practice that also integrates with all your communication tools. We actually take that one step further to say, hey, how can I use the power of AI to find more of my ideal patients? How do I treat more of them? Well, right now, in terms of conversions, we're stuck with, hey, no shows, Botox patients, and surgery patients all being qualified as a single conversion. They all mean the same thing for Google and Facebook and any kind of ad platform. Well, with the revenue data that we're able to gather from the EMRs with our integration, we're able to use AI to round it out and complete the entire loop to say, hey, leads that go to leads from ads that go to booked appointments, that's currently the endpoint to say it's a conversion. We're able to say that, okay, well, we want to take it one step further. We want to get more of the paying patients for the procedure we want and then put them back into a custom audience. So as I'm spending my ad spend, I'm actually targeting the patients that ideally fit my practice of what I want. So I'm able to cater it to the procedures I want to do, to the clientele that I want to treat. And therefore, once you have more of your ideal patients, it has more of your ideal practice. The value of AdVital. This is our practice at Lift Plastic Surgery in Houston for March of last year. We had $2,750 of ad spend, and I'm going to show $96,000 of revenue generated from that ad spend. And this is within that month of cash collected. We still had an open of 14,200 that got collected in the following month, but this is for that month, for that time frame. So I have clear data to make data-driven decisions. And again, this is what can help take your practice to the next level, to get you to the same point of where I'm working 4 days a week instead of 5. What do we give you with our platform? We give you a customized onboarding, so we help train your staff in 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how computer savvy they are. We have onboarding videos. We actually have a live chat support from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific time. This can cover any glitches or anything like that you come up with in terms of a different strategy you want to implement. We have frameworks for aesthetic surgery, including workflows, email templates, and stock images, which you can customize to your brand, right? We also have customized dashboards for practice management. Instead of taking the numbers of leads to prospects, to patients, to surgeries booked for your practice. So with all that portions, it gives you a clear transparency in your practice, gives you full control of it, and helps you take it to the next level. You're able to leverage software to spend time on what matters most. It's patient care. If you want to be able to make data-driven decisions on how you spend your time, then this is for you. If you don't want to continue doing the repetitive tasks, then this is also for you. If you want your staff to have more time taking care of patients, then this is for you as well. Again, if you want to treat your ideal patients and live your ideal life, then this is also for you. Reach out to take the next steps.